Hello, my name is Hanna Sidenius Nordentoft, and I would like to introduce you to the Trend Innovation Canvas developed by Innovation Lab. The canvas is a structured method that helps you understand trends and how to apply trends to launch successful innovative solutions adapted to the market. Trend Innovation Canvas is a bit like a funnel. You sort of start in the understanding part at the top with many inputs and sort and narrow in, so what you work with becomes more and more concrete. When you then have to apply the understanding you have achieved, it again spreads out, as you can see in the lower part of the model, showing the many aspects the company can work with regarding the trend you have chosen to work with. It is a model that offers a good visual understanding of the work with trends and innovation. So, to explain, the Trend Innovation Canvas is a tool to try to make a forecast on what your customers want in the future based on some trends. When your ideas are solidly grounded in what users want in the future, it's easier to have success with the ideas. Trend Innovation Canvas consists of two parts, an understanding part and an application part. To get the most out of creating innovation based on knowledge of a trend, it is really important to work through the upper understanding part because this is where you create an understanding of the influence the trends has both for the company and as part of the surrounding world, as well as the way current and potential customers already are influenced by the trend and how they could be assumed to take in the trend in the future. First, you must select a trend. This is done most easily from trend collections or reports online. The definition of a trend is that it is an indicator of a more or less permanent social change in values, as we can already see begins to assert itself and which we expect will become even more important in the future. So you see, it's not just a new technology. Then you start with understanding, the upper part, that is to say, understanding of the trend. Work through the template using several iterations, crawls, and put emphasis on how the various sections affect each other. Insight into one section can shed light on other elements of the trend and thus help with getting all the aspects highlighted. Then go to the apply part, the lower part, in order to identify where in your organization and for which users you can use the trend to create new value. Finally, you need to concretize the new innovative idea because it makes implementation so much easier. First, let's look at how you find a trend. There are several organizations that deal with trend spotting, meaning trying to foresee trends that have the potential to develop in a commercial direction, and thus for businesses will be able to be used to create a competitive advantage by creating a head start and try to reach the future before the customers, as well as reaching the customers before competitors. There are many tools available to get acquainted with new trends, and the most obvious is to travel out into the world and have a look around to spot them. But even with ordinary desk research, you can do a lot. For example, Euromonitor regularly publishes reports with consumer trends, and Euromonitor's report contain descriptions of reasons as well as triggers and the types of people that are affected by the trend. You could also try trend watching, where you can see 5 consumer trends for 2019 well described and with examples of how they can be used commercially. Or how about Trend Hunter? It's a little bit more confusing, this website, but you can still download a good trend report from 2019. In the understanding part, or the analysis part, you have to start with the change. In order to understand the trend in depth, it is necessary to find out the cause of the trend and what triggered it. Cause is social change that takes place over a number of years. Causes are in themselves not trends, but will shape the direction and the consistency of the trend. So having experienced a financial crisis, for example, provokes attention to the economy. Climate change means that we become more conscious about sustainability, and together the two are leading causes of a trend that is all about sharing economy. Triggers, on the other hand, are more immediate changes that bring on trends. It might, for instance, be specific technologies, political events, economic surprises, environmental events, and much more. The Facebook and Cambridge Analytica case got us talking more about data ethics and create trends with greater transparency and the need for digital confidence. Then you must look at what needs and wishes the trend fulfills for the customer. For instance, there's a trend from Euromonitor Global Consumer Trends called Back to Basics for Status. That is about consumers wanting simple, back to basics, high quality products with a certain status rather than mass-produced products. In the report you will find more detailed explanations and examples, and reading those you should be able to answer how the trend, for instance, affects the social status of the segment you have selected, and how it affects how the segment is being entertained, how it affects their sense of freedom or their sense of simplification of life, or some of the other things mentioned in the Trend Innovation Canvas. And you may also make up your own needs. Make a written description, and if there's something not really answered, then write it down and go out and ask a customer, or several customers. A trend is sustainable over a longer period of time, so often there will be companies from other industries who have developed or innovated on the basis of this particular trend. Therefore, it makes sense to be curious and aware of what they have done, and then maybe see if you possibly could adapt their innovation to your own industry and company. To see examples of companies that are innovating on the basis of trends, you can go to this site. In the examples, you will find brief explanations about the trend the innovation is based on, though unfortunately all the examples refer to background information you need to pay to get, but you can still get an idea. One of the examples is about combining the two trends, consumers wanting luxury and consumers wanting things to be easy. The Japanese franchise Famima has exploited this by turning to an audience of busy, wealthy business people and offer them premium versions of common convenience store goods. For example, they have replaced filter coffee with espresso and microwave heated hot dogs with fresh sushi and fresh juice with accessories. The website can give a good idea of what can be achieved by working structured from a trend we analyzed well. In this sort of middle area, you need to have a look at what new and future expectations are created with your customers on the basis of the changes that the trend you have chosen has already created with your customers. When customers first get used to how the trend meets their needs in terms of social status, etc., as described earlier, it will eventually lead to new expectations. You can try to map these by looking for gaps or holes in the relationship between what the customers want, what they can get elsewhere, and what they're being offered by you. So when you're going to analyze this area, a good trigger question could be, as you see in the last two sentences on this slide, what will future customers expect from our performance and our products and services when you look at that trend? In the application part, it is time to try analyzing what innovation potential the trend you have chosen to work with can provide for your company. And in order to not just work in all directions, you can structure it in 5 different ways or areas of the company, as you may see here. You may, for example, start with a product and consider what new experiences can be created on the basis of this trend, and how will you adapt existing products. How should your business model be structured in order to take advantage of this trend and the new expectations? And to what new customer groups can you apply this trend and the new expectations? In your organization, what changes do you need to make in your company in order to accommodate this new change? And as for your vision, how can the greater changes that lie behind this trend shape your company's long-term vision? So the overall idea of the Trend Innovation Canvas is that there are 5 stages to work through once you have chosen a trend. You'll have to analyze future trends, understand the underlying forces, wants, needs, forecast customer expectations, think through the implications and opportunities, and then state how you might implement the innovations. By working through and filling in the Trend Innovation Canvas from the top and down, you will get a visual overview of the possibilities a given trend may provide for your business. And based on this, you may be even better off when you start generating ideas using structured brainstorming techniques from Designing for Growth.